guys? Brian with Fringe here, and welcome to another episode of On the Fringe. Joining me today is Jesse Cook, the founder of Twin Screws Foundation. So Jesse, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us about Twin Screws and what you guys do.
Absolutely. So Twin Screws Foundation well, let me give you a little bit of background on myself. I did 27 years in the Navy, in the service. Joined fresh out of high school. Most of that 20 plus years was submarine service. And then from there, I kind of branched out, went aviation. I got the pleasure of serving with a bunch of men and women in an F-18 squadron, VFA 97. And then my final tour was the Command Master Chief of NAS Fallon up in Fallon, Nevada. If you have no idea where that's at, just drive due east of Reno and find the Top Gun signs, because that's where Top Gun is at, right? So that kind of fell under my umbrella. I didn't fly anything. Don't think anything like that. But I got to work with those pilots and see the professionalism and the pure skill and dedication of everybody I served with. But so how Twin Screws came about was about 3-4 years ago. I was on a hunting trip with some old retired buddies, and we have a passion of kind of helping each other, helping veteran community, but we didn't know how to do it. I also have a passion of backcountry hunting. Not like, I don't want to say Texas hunting, but every fall you're going to see me in a different part of the country in the woods with a backpack, a tent, and a bow on my back, right?
For sure.
And we wanted to try to share that, because what we discovered with that group of guys was we got to tune out the noise and get away from the bullshit of every day, right? And so, okay, well, how do we bring that about? How do we get more people involved with that? And that's where Twin Screws came from. And the two screw blades in the Navy, we call those, they're propellers, right? But we call them screw blades. And so in the old submarines had two screw blades. And that's kind of where it was a play on it, right? So what we do as a foundation is we bring active duty, right, and veterans into the backcountry, either for hunting, conservation efforts, event camps, some kind of retreat. Right now, we are a brand new foundation. We just hit our 1-year mark, and last year we were able to get a great turkey hunting event up in Vermont, and a pheasant hunting in Colorado. And this year we're looking at we're doing another turkey, the same place, same farm up in Vermont, in about a month and a half, and then we're doing a backcountry elk hunt in Western Washington, which is going to be absolutely amazing. The downside and things that we're kind of working through right now is large-scale events are very hard to do when you do a backcountry hunt with somebody. You can't bring 10, 15 people out there and go running through the woods and try to get something, right? That's not going to happen. So we're trying to figure out what else we can bring to the table, and my board is absolutely amazing, coming up with ideas and playing possibly maybe with chapters throughout the country, so we can kind of bring that to there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So do you guys hunt in Texas ever?
We do, actually.
Restrictions
we do. There is a lot of restrictions in getting through with the public land stuff, and then cost, right? And I bring up Texas specifically with cost, because to hunt in Texas is not a cheap thing, right? And then a lot of things, like, so I've talked to some ranches and they only want you to hunt a specific thing or do a specific thing. And I don't want to try to put handcuffs and limitations on our veterans on trying to think something. Now, again, hunting is not the priority. It's the act of getting out there and going through that, right? And if you talk to any hunter, you look at anything, it's not the actual the act of hunting itself. It's the stories and the experiences created trying to do that, right? And being in the backcountry, I think even if you camp, hike, whatever you do, there's a hyper vigilance that kind of comes upon you, and you get to you immerse yourself in nature, and you get to feel things maybe you don't normally get to feel living in Austin, living in Chicago, living in whatever the case is.
Right, yeah, of course.
So, but we are hunting. The long story short is we're actually auctioning off a whitetail hunt at the Bosk Ranch. It's an XIT ranch.
Yeah.
Through Big Fish Foundation when are we doing that? April. We're doing that in April. We've got a big gala event. We're going to auction everything off. And we're going to bring a veteran and active duty up to Canadian Texas, and we're going to have some fun. And the reason we can do that is I've partnered with a couple of great people, dear friends, and we've got about 35,000 acres of low fence open country that allows us a lot of opportunities to to have some fun.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so you did kind of touch on it, but I want to kind of dig a little deeper because I think, and personally, whenever I hear about foundations like this, the origin of the foundation has always like sparked my interest because like starting a nonprofit is not easy, right? Especially with the way you're trying to do it. I mean, putting on these hunts is not an easy thing to do. As somebody who loves hunting, especially in Texas, right? Like it's not an easy thing to pull off. So what was like the thought process when you first like came up with this idea? Like you went on the backwoods hunt and you realized like how impactful it was for you, right? Like was it immediately like this is what I want to do, or was there like some more thought to it? How'd that go?
It was immediate. It was immediate in my head of I need to be able to share this and the therapeutic benefits that I'm going through, right? I've actually quit. As soon as I retired, I worked for a company as a government contractor. Mm-hmm. And I had worked for them for 6 months. I didn't really need a job. I mean, I'm a retired military. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but you're not going to starve.
Sure.
Right? And hunting season was coming up, and I go, hey, here's my 2-week resignation. And they're like, for what? I go, hunting season. And they're like, they didn't understand, right? They're a company out of New England.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see ya. They had no idea, right? So, but yes, the thought process was absolutely immediate. But going through and creating the foundation and then how to get people involved and share it has been very stressful. I would absolutely lie to you and say, I feel great, man. This is awesome. This is very fulfilling. Oh, it's stressful as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? Can I say fuck?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So it is. But it was kind of like the military when you're in it, and this purpose, a sense of purpose of helping people is there is a lot of stress.
Of course.
Every day has something that is putting you either on your toes or questioning why you're doing it. And then you get to see somebody experience what you experienced and see that light and see that, that just the benefit of it. However they feel it or however they experience it, that's what puts a smile on my face.
Sure. Right?
And you can see them grow and understand it, and you're like, that's why I do it. That is the exact reason. Just that smile or that glimmer that's all the satisfaction I really need, right? And I almost get emotional thinking about it just because I'm thinking about just the couple events we had and the smiles, and then I think about all the sailors that I've helped, I've served with, and that's the whole reason I did what I did. And when you're in a leadership position in the military and you've been in for long enough, I don't know if have you ever punched yourself in the face?
No, I can't say that I have.
Right. So imagine you punching yourself in the face every day. Right? And then something, maybe a month from now, happens and you're like, oh, I had a part of that. And that joy you get, that's why we do it. And it's hard to explain that, and it's hard to convince people, hey, you should be in a leadership position. I think you have this great potential. And you're like, I see what you go through. That's not why we do it.
Everybody thinks leadership's awesome until you get into leadership.
Until you get into it.
Yeah.
Right? And it goes into a sense of purpose.
Which
Everybody, and if I ramble on too long on this, I'm sorry, but this is really kind of big to me.
Of course.
Is everybody, I think, has a sense of purpose. Right? You doing these podcasts, there's a sense of purpose behind it. There's 100%. A reason behind it, right? When you decided to do whatever you do. When I served, and I think with veterans specifically, right? When you serve your country, you have your purpose to serve your flag, right? To serve your country, to serve your fellow American, anybody. That's your purpose. And that is every service member across the board. As you grow through the military, right? The first few years, it's usually, I don't want to say you're a company man yet, but you're kind of paying lip service to some of it, right? You have your core values, which you say. Do you truly believe them yet? I'm not saying for everybody, but there's a thing in there where you say them enough, you're going to believe it.
100%.
But the more senior you get, the more you go through it, you understand that saying it is one thing and living it and believing it is a completely different thing. And then you realize what your true purpose is. Your other purpose doesn't leave, right? You still serve your country, and your flag is always the number one thing, I think, to me, is that is the entire reason I started serving. My dad, everybody, and how important that flag is. Helping the sailors realize their full potential. And that could be in the service or even out of the service, right? Because it's not for everybody. Yeah. And if I can help them realize that at the expense of myself, which is, Maybe a rare quality, I don't know, right? Because I never gave a shit about my career. We can have a whole podcast on that. But if I could help them realize their full potential, that was my true purpose, right? And so with the foundation is, how can we rediscover that for veterans? Because when you do get out of the service, and I might have touched on this, there's a hole in your life a little bit, right? You go from something that is extremely regimented to, I don't have to wake up right now. I don't have to.
You can do whatever you want.
I can let myself go, which I know we're going to talk about some of the things around here in
course.
regards to that, right? Be it mentally, physically, whatever the case is. And we got to try to maybe rediscover it doesn't have to be the same purpose, but a purpose, right? And then the active duty component, I told you we bring in the active duty component, and the reason is there is a transition that happens when you're active duty to this that only the veteran understands, and that active duty component does not understand yet. And I don't expect them to, and I want them to, but that's going to take a long time. We're probably going to have to cut this a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out the right words here. So when something bad happens in the military, right? We'll go like an incident. Say a suicidal ideation, because we know veteran suicide is, I mean, you look at the news, you look at anywhere, you talk about it, you just Google it, and right, it's off the charts. I think the current number is 17 to 18 per day veterans commit suicide, right? So when you're in active duty, though, that number is extremely high also, and it's something that's never talked about. But what happens is, say you're in a command, you have 150 people in this particular squadron, right? And an ideation happens, an attempt, or God forbid, somebody's successful. What happens is it's a cookie cutter response from the military, from that organization. You get everybody together, you talk about it, you talk about signs of what suicide looks like, and if somebody's got signs, and you do this and you do that, and then counselors will come in, chaplains will come in, whatever the case is, and we talk, and these are all great things, and these are all good things and needed things, but there's also a legality behind it that I don't want to say as a boss, you have to cover your ass, because if you didn't talk about it and something happens a week later, now your ass is fired.
Right.
Right.
And it taints the whole process.
And it taints the whole process, and it can get into the news, and it can be construed and everything else, right? There was a military, an army base not long ago, right, that made the news for various suicides. Same with an aircraft carrier, right? And it's like, holy shit, and then the world will descend upon that. Well, a week later, I don't want to say it gets brushed under the rug, it gets pushed to the side. And it has to get pushed to the side because they still have a mission to do. We're still a military unit. We still have to go out and we have to execute our orders. You can't do that if you're hyper-focused on this one thing. You have to push it aside. And what happens is now you're compartmentalizing these issues. You're compartmentalizing these traumas, right? And I'm just talking suicide, right? But because there's special forces organizations out there. There's people with boots on the ground that see shit we normal people do not see, right? Yep. I was a submarine sailor. I didn't see 99% of the trauma that our soldiers downrange saw, right? But our suicide rate is just as high. Right. Why is that, right? Because it's the way we compartmentalize, and then things kind of surface up, right? Well, by bringing in it's a long way of saying, by bringing in this active duty with the veteran, that active duty sailor, soldier, airman, spaceman, whatever you want, can see what we're going through and how we're doing it in these tools. And then so when something happens on their end, they can maybe take they don't have to take them all, they don't have to follow, there's no book, there's no procedures, there's no policy. They can take something and an understanding of okay, that's this, how can I apply that to this particular issue? And then over their career, they implement that, and then the people that learn from them, that get led by them, then implement that through their career. So we might not see a benefit of this for 10, 15 years. And that benefit could be one person changing their mind.
Yeah, taking it seriously.
Taking it seriously, or just saying, you know what, I'm not going to make this ultimate decision right now. And that could be 10 years from now. I can't measure that. I can't quantify that. I can't even qualify that. But that's a win, right?
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that. I don't know if you've ever had anybody that you've worked with or worked for years later call you up and say, hey, remember this thing we did? Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm looking
100%.
for. That is exactly what I'm looking for.
It's almost an emotional training that you're putting these guys through, right? And so I can relate, not in obviously the same way. I never served. I was never in the military. But I did, I've been sober for almost 11 years now.
Oh,
And
man.
so
Oh, yeah.
I went through treatment, and so what it reminds me of, what you were talking about, and again, not the same thing, but it reminds me of when you go through a detox center. Anybody goes through a detox center, and there's AA meetings there, and you go to an AA meeting or any kind of 12-step, any kind of help program, right? And like in that moment, like you don't give a crap about being there, right? Like you don't give a fuck about it,
Right.
but you hear what they're saying. You're around people who are getting better, that kind of thing. And it may not, and we call it planting the seed in the program, right? So in 10 years from now, right? Because I went to my first AA meeting at 16. I didn't get sober until I was 21, right? And so when I turned 21, I had nowhere to go, right? I didn't have anywhere. I was out of options, was disconnected from family, all that. But I had this experience of like knowing there was somewhere I could go, that there were other people who had been through the things that I've been through, right? And so because I knew that, I had the opportunity, and now here I am 11 years later, right? And like my life's great, right? So that's what it reminds me of, right? Is like you're taking
That's
these guys
exactly
through.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't put it down
different,
like you didn't
different
serve.
level, right?
Sure, they're
But,
different
yeah.
levels, but it's emotionally, it's the exact same level.
Exactly. Yeah. And it really reminded me of that.
Oh, that's an amazing story. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Doctor.
So I do want to reroute for a second, and because so we met actually through a mutual friend. Well, mutual friend, guy that bought some equipment for me. I was a salesperson for Fringe.
Adrian, you're a financial friend.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Appreciate your check. But you came to the showroom. But I say we re-met at TFX this past year,
Right?
When you saved my ass by helping me unload a 900-pound squat rack out of the back of my truck by myself.
Right.
But so I thought it was interesting because at first I was like, like you're not like directly fitness related, right? Like you're not like a CrossFit gym that does this kind of thing. You're just like a guy that started this foundation that's hunting, right? And but the more I learned about it, I was I see where it fits, right? And so I do want to talk about like fitness, CrossFit, right? Like because you spoke about how hard it is to like gain traction when you're a new foundation like this, right?
Very hard.
And so I imagine doing an event like TFX gives you a level of exposure that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get.
Yeah.
Right. So talk about that a little bit, and then just overarching, like what role has fitness played in your own life that's kind of inspired some of the stuff you do.
Oh
now.
Lord. Okay. I don't know if we have enough battery for your cameras here. So anyway, that kind of brought us in. I got introduced to Jeremy Teal over at CrossFit Central out of Austin, right? Yeah. And I know he uses all equipment, right? He's the creator of the TFX, and they're doing the Invitational now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we can't go. It's right in the middle of our turkey hunt, but through him, I was able to get a spot, obviously, at TFX, and that exposure alone allowed so many people to come by our table and talk and help donate money and learn. And I've actually. One gal, she might be one of my board members now because she.
No way.
Yeah, just her interest, and her husband is a veteran and a disabled vet, and everything else like that. And it was great meeting all these people and exposure I wouldn't normally have, just trying to get my massive social media presence, right? When I got like 400 followers, but it helped a lot. Yeah. Now, how fitness kind of fell into my world. Growing up, I was an athlete, right? I was I call it the poor athlete. We were dirt poor growing up in Western Washington, and my mom loved playing softball and baseball, and they got me involved in baseball very early, and I played all the way up through high school. Ran into cross country, all that, and then I joined the Navy 2 weeks out of high school, right? And so all that kind of gets pushed to the side a little bit while you're going through there. Well, through my early part of my career. I actually I got diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which you can Google it. It's I basically went into a tachycardia. I had a pulse rate of about 250, 260 beats per minute, and I held that for about 5 or 6 hours. Because I was a cross-country runner, the doctor said, well, that's the only reason you're not dead right now. Yeah. But I remember I skipped a beat, went into cardiac arrest. Right, and I remember this very clearly because it was opening day of Star Wars Episode 1, and I thought, I need to go to Star Wars Episode 1. I got tickets to this movie. I'm making the movie. But anyway, after that, and with subsequent ablation, right? I don't want to say surgery; it was more like a procedure. The doc said you probably shouldn't work out anymore. I went. Now I was 19,
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Early days in my naval career, we were working 15, 16 hours a day. The only way to get a break was to get a smoke break, right? So I started smoking, started drinking. And then from 1998, I was 135 pounds, to 2009, I gained 100 pounds, right? I got pretty fluffy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. I didn't like it. If I went to the gym, I'm like, I'm bulking. I'm like, yeah, I'm always bulking.
The bulk never stops.
That was always the thing. And no kidding, it was out of, but my heart was fine. Nothing happened again. I didn't have any more episodes.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I got to do this fitness thing again because I can't look at my damn shoes. I don't know where my belt buckle is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to do something. And a friend of mine who is actually, we're out to sea, and this is no shit, under the North Pole.
Wait, what?
No shit. We were taking the USS Texas, which is
Yeah.
a Virginia-class submarine, first one of its class to the North Pole.
Okay.
We're under the North Pole, and two friends of mine that were big and, hey, you ever tried CrossFit? I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And we did 108 count bodybuilders for time. Remember an old 8 count bodybuilder?
yeah.
You
Yeah,
push
yeah.
up in your feet and you dance and you do
yeah.
the Macarena, right? You do that, and I couldn't move the next day. And I'm like, this is the worst. Why am I fucking doing this? And then
miserable.
2 days later, like I couldn't straighten my arms. I couldn't do anything. And then my buddy goes, hey, we're going to do that again. I'm like, We did it again.
Yeah.
And then over the course of like the next 6-7 months, we ended up going into Hawaii. And in Hawaii, there is an air of fitness you want to do because you're always outside, right? And you want to take your shirt off, right? And it kind of brought me into it. And when I moved back to Connecticut, I found a gym. And it was in a little restaurant, and it was shout out to New London CrossFit, and I hope you guys watch this, right? They got me on this journey, and we went from a restaurant to a small gym to a bigger gym, but I discovered the trials and tribulations of trying to figure out fitness and what CrossFit was about, and there's so many things what CrossFit is about, right?
Yeah.
But I found it was something hard, extremely challenging, and extremely rewarding and humbling.
Of course.
And I was also a spot in my career where you couldn't be too cocky. You're in this middle management now where you had to show humility, demonstrate humility, and try to demonstrate leadership at the same time. And I was able to, and I couldn't link it today, but I was able to link the two together, right? And create priorities for myself of health and wellness and leadership in the military. And it grew from there, and then I became known, oh, that's the CrossFit chief. I'm like, oh, Lord, right? I did not want to be known as that, but it was fitness that brought everybody on our base together during different times. We'd go through like different events of the whole base, like chief transition. I don't want to explain that, but it's a big thing where you bring a couple hundred people together every single day, and we have to do something team-based, and that's what kind of CrossFit
that sounds fun. Yeah.
Right, and then through there, the people I've met, right, be it in the CrossFit organization itself, or just gym owners or people I work out with, right? My entire family has revolved around that. My personal family, from my children to my ex-wife and my current, right, we've revolved around this sport. My career revolves around the sport, even though I'm not even I'm in the tech industry. Has nothing to do with CrossFit, right? But how I got into that and introduced to it was through this sport. Right. And then doing things on my own outside of CrossFit. I love rucking. I like doing ultras. Have you ever done a Go Ruck?
I have done some rucks.
Right.
Yeah, rucks are rough.
Have you done it with the Go Ruck company?
I have not done it with the Go Ruck company.
Woo! My first and only one. I was class 11. And this was in 2011 or 12. And we had a 50-pound pack and we went for 36 hours. They don't do that anymore. They've gotten a lot better.
I wonder why.
They've gotten a lot better. They do some lights. I think they're coming to Austin here, actually. I think they're doing a 5K and something else here.
They are, 2 weeks.
Yeah. They're coming here soon.
We can talk about this later.
I haven't signed up yet. I thought about it, maybe. But we got beat. And it was in Boston, and it was pretty rough. But anyway, that opened the door for everything else. Now I have to do fitness every day. It's that clarity it provides, and happiness. I'll be in a meeting and my boss will go, you didn't work out today, did you? I'm like, oh, why? He goes,
yeah.
you're an asshole. I'm like, oh. Sorry.
100%.
Does that answer your question, or did I just go down
no,
like
it does.
20 roads?
And I do want to touch on even more in depth, like fitness and mental health, because I'm the same way. Like, I mean, you can ask these guys. It is very apparent when I am not exercising at all, right? Like I'm naturally like just more of an abrasive kind of guy, you know?
Up front.
Blunt, you could say. Yeah.
Direct is what we say in the corporate world.
I'm definitely more of a sledgehammer than a screwdriver, right, or something. But like fitness for me, and going back to what I was speaking about before about getting sober and all this stuff. So by the time I got sober, I weighed almost 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Right, and then like getting sober and not like, because I was an athlete in high school. I got hurt, got hooked on all kinds of stuff, and then got fat, and like life just kind of sucked.
Yep.
And then got sober, and then the stress of being newly sober got even fatter, right? And then like eventually got into fitness, back into fitness, and lost a bunch of weight. And so for me, like when I think about fitness, I directly relate it to mental health.
Yeah.
Right. Like 100%. Like that's the correlation. Being fit's great. Like being able to lift a bunch of weight is great, but I am my most mentally healthy and active when I'm in shape, right? And so, like, talk a little bit about that, especially with the mental health background you kind of have.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I will say, physical fitness and mental health. I mean, they have to go hand in hand, right? I mean, there's 100 studies out there, thousands of studies out there on how they're linked. Where my very big focus on with the physical and the mental health is, veterans. And a lot of my friends, and some of them they come around, maybe they see if I post something of workout, like I posted a workout the other day, and 5 of them DM me, like, hey, we're gonna try this. How can I modify that? I'm like, amazing, right? But it's, they let themselves go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right, and it's partially because, they don't have to be regimented anymore. We used to do semi-annual physical fitness tests because we had to, not because we want to.
Right.
Right? And a lot of it was always the bare minimum. What can you do the bare minimum, the peat passing, so you don't get put on Mando PT, because you don't want to be on a Mando Commando, was what we called it, right? You don't want to be that. So what was the bare minimum? And that's where people work to. And as soon as they got out, they're like, I don't have to work that anymore. I don't need the bare minimum. And you see it. Right, you do see it, and so then what happens is your identity kind of gets wrapped into what you were and not what you are.
100%.
Right, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I think there's more to life than what you were. Right, and so what physical fitness does, and I truly believe this is if you work your ass off to look better. It doesn't have to be good. It has to be a definition. It doesn't have to be a stereotype. It doesn't have to be any of that, right? But if you look better to yourself, you're going to feel better. Or if you feel better, you're going to look better. And both of those combined kind of gives you a little bit of confidence. And if you have a little bit of confidence in whatever you're doing, things will always get better. There's going to be setbacks. You're going to take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Of course.
Right? But having that little bit of confidence, that little bit of hope, will do that. And what spurns that, or what helps with that, is physical health, right? And learning what your body can do and being proud of what it can do, even if you fail at something, right? And I made a comment the other day, is literally, I fail every day at something. How can you learn from that failure to get better, right? I've always said, embrace failure, don't accept failure.
100%. I love that.
Right?
That's great. Yeah.
You need to embrace it so that way you can learn and find out where these limitations are. And it could be on a squat. It could be, I was doing 150, I failed on one of these reps, right? I'm like, all right, well, how do I make that better? How do I learn? Okay, let's calm down a little bit. Let's get this under control. Let's figure out how to do it right. And it could be from work, it could be personal relationships, it could be sobriety, it could be whatever the case is. How do you learn from it? If you accept it, it's okay to accept it maybe once.
Sure.
Right?
Right, yeah.
But, okay, well, what's the next? Well, I accepted it yesterday, so I'll just do it today.
Yeah, and then it becomes a habit.
Now, exactly.
Right.
It piles on top, and next thing you know, it's completely compounded, and it's just it gets out of control. So, like I said, embrace it, don't accept it.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking yesterday about like the mental fortitude that you're able to build by like learning how to fail in working out, right? Like we were doing a video that's not out yet, so I won't spoil it, but we were doing a video and one of the questions posed was, training to failure. Do you think that is overrated or underrated? Right? And Tim and I both said it was underrated because a couple different reasons, right? Like, so one, training to failure is just a great way to build muscle, right? But also the mental fortitude that you can build when you learn to fail effectively, right? And then like use that to like next time you have that kind of situation, whether it was a heavy back squat or whatever your lift was, next time you encounter that situation, you get that same feeling again, you're going to know what it feels like and you're going to be ready for it. Right. And I think a lot of people don't know what that feels like because every time they get to that feeling, they just stop.
Right. And now, are you when you speak to train to failure? Because I 100% agree. Is it a general fitness thing? Is it a general just a well-being, a growth thing, or are you a specialist in a certain sport? Right? Are you a bodybuilder who maybe you don't want to train there? You want to have maybe lighter weight, bigger, whatever the case is.
Right. Yeah.
And I think. I mean, there's obviously an argument and 1,000 different tendrils from that.
All the disciplines.
But I think training to failure is absolutely genius. And it could be, RPE, right? It doesn't have to be your old max. Right. It could be, I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
This ain't going to happen. Right? But understanding where that is. And it could be your training to failure is just, I need to take a break right now. Maybe I need to take a day off. Maybe I need to get some better sleep or
something.
Not stay up late binge watching Severance, right? It's whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. That's really good. I'm going to get something off my phone. There's a quote I want to talk about. Find somebody who will quietly sit with you when the world is loud. I've talked about the loud noises, right? And kind of getting away from the noise and rediscovering your purpose, right? Because everybody has these stresses in their life. Bills, people, family, whatever the case is, right? And that's infinitely scalable of what people's issues are and what stresses them out. And it's the reason I got into, besides being really, really hard, backcountry hunting, specifically backcountry hunting, is the solitude of it. Even if you're with people or you're in a hunting camp. And the quote was, find somebody who will sit with you in solitude when the world around you is loud, right? And that is exactly what I strive for every day, and that's what I want to try to bring to the veterans and active duty through Twin Screws, is that connection, that solitude, and maybe being someone that you care about and just not chatting.
Yeah.
Right? And the inner thoughts that you have and the way you feel and the way you approach things completely changes, right? Our world is so noisy with life, right? With phones, where you wake up in the morning, check your email. Did I get money deposited? No, right? Whatever. I owe money, right? Things, right? All these things happen, and when you disconnect, even for an hour, you can discover some amazing things, or you can reprioritize your day, or you can think about your day, right? It's funny, I think everybody's making fun of these influencers now, of like how you start your morning routine. And put your face in a bowl of water or some shit. And fucking, right?
That may have been a topic
stand
yesterday
in front of the
as well.
sun, naked. And, what was there's like this dude, like,
tan your butthole.
brown your, right? There's some funny
This has actually been a topic of conversation before, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's good. Right? I'm an old sailor. My mind can go some places. But anyway, it's that disconnection. And I read this and I don't remember where, and I'm not going to quote anybody, especially if I'm going to misquote anything. But it's like the greatest discoveries in the world come from boredom, right? So if you can make yourself bored, right, the things that you can think of are endless. Right? I don't know when you were little, right, and mom and dad's around, and you're like, I'm bored. And your parents would go, I don't care.
Yeah, figure it out.
Right. Well, that's us figuring it out. That's things, right? So my son's 17, and he's like, Dad, I'm bored. I'm like, good.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Let's find out what's going on. I used to make my daughters are finishing up her sophomore year now at University of Alabama. I'm not going to say roll tide roll because the other half of the family
please
is UT.
Don't.
Let's just,
please don't.
Yeah, she's transferring. It's fine. We're not Alabama fans, but she would always tell me she's bored, and
Yeah.
I think as a result, she's pursuing her degree in forensic psychology.
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
that would have ever happened if she was plugged in all the time.
Right.
Maybe the real murder TV shows that are always on TV.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably she can catch a serial killer shit, like, right? Whatever it is. But anyway, it's about unplugging. It's hard to do. People don't have time, well, it's not my priority right now. I have to make money. I have to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
The event we got going on in May up in Vermont, I got 3 veterans and 2 active duty coming, and it's our turkey hunt.
Okay.
And it is a friend of mine that I served with a long time ago. He inherited a 250-acre maple syrup farm. It's decrepit, it's been run down, and he's attempting to bring it to life, mostly by himself too.
Oh, wow.
He is the people, his in-laws own it, but they're getting a little bit older, and amazing people. But he offered us to come up, and so I'll describe what we do for the event actually, and this will kind of make sense. So I'm bringing everybody up, and what we do is you're only allowed to hunt until noon in the state of Vermont, it's a state law, which is beautiful for me. So we hunt turkeys in the morning, and I'll tell you, last year we didn't kill a single thing, right? But you stop at noon, and then we get into what I like to do is community service. For every event you do for Twin Screws, I want to do a community service event.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the community is, he's got an old barn that was 200 years old and hadn't been emptied in literally 200 years.
Holy cow.
So we emptied it out so we could tear it down and build a new one, right? And then we did some physical fitness. And then we break bread together, right? We have that meal, we talk. I brought in some people from the National Wild Turkey Federation, and they came in and they educated us on turkeys and turkey habitat and conservation. And amazing people.
Yeah.
Actually, they're going to be at our next camp too. And then we do bonfire or fireside chats is what I like to say. Okay. Then we actually brought people in from the community, like town people. Like they came, hey, what's going on up here? We're like, hey, sit down. Right? And we had this great conversation with the community, veterans, and active duty. And that connection was exactly what I was looking for our very first event. And we're gonna see what happens with this one. I got more people coming for this one. And I completely forgot what the very beginning of the topic was.
Well, I mean, it's awesome because like you're not just a bunch of dudes going and shooting some stuff and then going home.
Correct.
Right? Like, and I think that's an important distinction because, there are probably some people out there that's like, I'd love to go shoot some shit, and it's like, it's about way more than that. So if somebody wanted to get involved with you, or if somebody wanted to donate to the foundation or anything like that, what's the best way for somebody to get involved?
Couple ways. Best way is our website, twinscrewsfoundation.org.
Okay.
Right, you can go straight there, and there's a couple of tabs on there. One of them is donate, because nothing is free. And I'll talk about one of the most humbling things in my life that I have ever experienced is asking people for money. Right, and it has been a big motivator in my life to never do that. And I'm doing that, right?
Yeah.
So it is very hard. I will say that every single penny that comes to Twin Screws, 98% of it is directly to the veterans and reimbursement costs, right? We do things a little bit different where sometimes we have to pay for a venue or things or whatever it is, but I don't know if those are considered operational costs. We're a year, I just did my taxes.
I'd say those are operational, yeah.
Right? I just did my taxes for the first time, and I'm pretty sure the IRS is coming after me in about 3 weeks. But it's reimbursement. So whatever like if you need a plane ticket and you go to Vermont, I want you to buy the plane ticket, give me the receipt, and I'll immediately reimburse you. Right? That's how we're operating right now. But another way, there's a volunteer button on there, and put your name, and it goes into a spreadsheet. Is really what it is. And so I look at what event do we want to do this year, and I need 6 people, and I'll just randomly pick 6 people off of that. Okay. And if they can't go, then it's down, down, down. That's this year. That's how we're learning more as we go, and that's why I was kind of leaning maybe towards the chapter thing, right? We got some friends in Connecticut that did an ice fishing event about 3 months ago.
Oh, nice.
Still ice in Connecticut that time of year,
yeah.
right? It's like 90 degrees here, and Twin Screws event. Hell yeah, I would love to do that, right? So if we can maybe get into that format, that would be giving everybody an operating budget, not a lot, right? But at least start out with maybe some seed money, hold your own event, right? Do your own thing. If you don't want to call it Twin Screws, I don't give a shit. Call it whatever you want. Happy fun time, ride a unicorn, right? But we will absolutely help you out with some funds to do that.
That's awesome.
And another way right now, we're holding a raffle. If you're not into firearms, got it. But I'm holding, it's a turkey raffle because turkey season's coming up. Turkey season is my favorite time of year.
Shotgun.
I got a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
It's a Weatherby Elements. It's the Upland model. It's about a $700 value, this gun. And a turkey vest, which from Nomad Outdoors, which that's a $135 value. And then a $100 gift card to Nomad because they got a lot of hunting clothing, right? So we're looking right under $1,000 value, right? Sure. Which one of our donors and one of our retired peeps donated $1,000 just for this particular raffle, right?
Wow.
And we've raised already $2,500. It's $10 a raffle ticket. I'm not doing anything special. You buy like $100 and you get 90 tickets or something.
Right, yeah.
It's $10 a ticket. It's too confusing for me, and I'm going to screw it up, and then people are just going to yell at me. We are doing the drawing in is this a 31-day month?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So 4 days, we're doing the drawing live, Instagram, Facebook. I'll do that right there. Excel spreadsheet, random. It's a randomizer. Right?
Yeah.
Go in there and pull that person, and awesome. We did a shotgun raffle last year from G-Force Shotgun Firearms. They're out of Reno. Great little company. And a good friend of mine got a gun, and he was able to do that. It was our first one. We didn't know what we were doing. This one, I've gotten a lot better at it, thank God.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm a big fan of that Weatherby.
It's nice.
That Weatherby shotgun.
Yeah, I got 20 tickets myself.
They make some good products.
Yeah, that's awesome,
right?
man.
Just being America.
The socials, website. If somebody's a veteran or active duty, is there a special way they need to get in touch with you, or just reach out?
Nope, just reach out to there, or you can go to Instagram, Twin Screws Foundation. Okay. Right, or my personal Instagram, which is Jess1276, JESS1276. Or Jesse Cook on Facebook, Twin Screws on Facebook. We got them all. DM me, email me. My phone number is it probably shouldn't be on some of these things, but it's on there.
Yeah.
We're not a massive organization, so I'm not getting inundated with phone calls and text messages 90 times a day, right? So I am going to get back to you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to send you an email, or send me an email, jesse@twinscrewsfoundation.org. Beautiful. Absolutely. I love talking to people. I love chatting with people. And I will go down rabbit holes all day long. And next thing you know, it's 7 hours later and we're like, we haven't done a fucking thing.
Well, Jesse, I really appreciate it, man. It's been awesome. An honor to do this. I mean, as soon as I met you and we started this podcast, you immediately came to mind as far as a perfect person to put on this. Your home and property is beautiful out here. Love it. So if you guys enjoyed this and you want to hook up with Jesse, we're going to put all his links down below: email, Instagram, Facebook, for the foundation and for himself. If you're new here, make sure to drop a like for us and subscribe so you can catch more of this stuff. If you have any questions for us at Fringe Sport or for Jesse at Twin Screws Foundation, drop us a comment. We'll get it to Jesse one way or another. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.